All right. We want to welcome everybody to our meeting this morning. Thank you so much for joining us to discuss the Rocklin Road Interchange Improvement Project here at our second stakeholder meeting. Today, we're here to share with you an update from the City of Rocklin's plan on making improvements for all modes of travel within the Rocklin Road Interstate I-80 interchange. We're back with you today because our team has narrowed the design alternatives to two options, Alternatives 1 and Alternative 2. And we have further refined these concepts. So at this meeting, we're going to be sharing these concepts and discuss any other further questions or comments that you might have at this time. So first, just to kind of give you a walk around the Zoom room, everybody has the ability to unmute themselves at will, as well as our chat will be open throughout the entire presentation. Since this is a small stakeholder meeting today, we want to make it as free-flowing a conversation as possible. So feel free to raise your hand, interrupt us, put a question in the chat throughout the presentation, as well as there'll be some time at the end of the presentation to have a formal question and answer session as well. The last thing I'll let you know is that this meeting is being recorded so that we can post it to the project website, as well as share it with anybody who might have missed it this time. So for now, I want to go to our meeting agenda. And again, we're excited to have you back here today. We're going to start with a brief introduction. We'll then go over the project history, review the project alternatives, talk about transportation, a schedule, as well as question answers and any next steps for the project. And for now, I'm going to introduce our team. And then after that, we'll give some time for you guys to unmute and introduce yourselves as well. And so from the City of Rocklin, we have Matt Mcclure. With Jacobs, we have Luke McNeil Caird, Mike Robinson, Ashley Kellogg. With Fay and Piers, we have Dave Stenick. And with AIM Consulting, we have myself, who is Katie DeMeo, Angelica Williams, and Esmeralda Santana. All right, so now we're going to briefly go over some of the public outreach so far. So this is, as I mentioned, this is our second stakeholder meeting. We had a first one in person in late September. We also had a community workshop that was attended by over 45 people in mid-October. Again, these are our significant touch points into the community so that we can get the project in front of you all. We've also created a project website where the community can go and learn some more information about the project, as well as download a fact sheet about the project as well, and sign up for any updates as these meetings continue. Next, I'm going to talk about why this is so important for you guys to be involved. Number one, your meeting attendance here is absolutely fantastic and needed for input on this project. It helps bring community perspectives to the project and helps us think about things that we might have missed. You'll be able to provide input on the project improvements. For example, where there are existing traffic concerns, what access issues need to be addressed, or where your properties might be impacted. And this will allow us to communicate, study progress and decisions with you. And again, we just want to thank you guys so much for your participation in this process. And we really, really appreciate your time here today. And so I'm going to proceed with the presentation by turning it over to Matt Mcclure.
Hey, Katie, did we want to have the people introduce themselves really quick?
I am so sorry I missed that. Absolutely. So guys, if you would like to unmute yourself and introduce you real quick, that would be great. Oh.
Hi, this is Sonia and Ravinder Joel. We have the AM/PM right there on 4500 Rocklin Road, and we're both here on the meeting.
Wonderful.
Nice to see you guys today.
All right.
And from the City of Rocklin team, we also have Michael Young from the city manager's office, and I'm Justin Archer, the director of public services. So it's nice to have everybody here today.
Wonderful.
And my name is Chris Lydius. I'm a project manager with Caltrans.
Great. And again, we're going to make everybody in here, since it's such a small meeting, everyone will be co-hosts. You'll be able to mute and unmute whenever necessary. Wonderful.
Katie, maybe you can alert people to introduce themselves since such a small group for anyone that hasn't said so yet.
Yeah. Roger, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. This is Roger McDonald. I'm with Western Care Construction and Martin Harmon. We own quite a bit of property along Sierra College and Granite.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I think it's just, I'm not sure if you're able to unmute, Renever. There you go.
Hi, this is Ranbir from Rocklin 76, and I have Mr. Gurmeet Garewal from Arby's with me.
Arby's right there on Rocklin Road and at Granite Drive.
Wonderful. All right, Matt, I think that is everybody.
All right, well, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. As Katie introduced, I'm Matt Mcclure. I'm the Public Services Manager and Project Manager from the City of Rocklin on this project. I think I've met most of you at our first meeting. For those of you I haven't met, welcome. And just to give a brief history of the project again, back in 2012, we had a project study report completed that had 3 concepts that have all been deemed to be non-constructible for multiple reasons. The first concept was a westbound I-80 flyover. It started more towards the Sierra College campus, and you'd enter a flyover to get onto westbound I-80, and then you would skip the whole interchange itself going that way. We also had a concept that had 2 roundabouts at both the east and westbound ramps. There would be a roundabout there. And then the concept 3 was that replacing the existing I-80 bridge and widening Rocklin Road along that section. All 3 of these concepts proved to be extremely costly and had either some environmental impacts or other right-of-way concerns that made the project unfeasible at the time. So we came back and we have some new design options that Luke will be presenting in a little bit here that combat some of the issues that the previous study report came out with and provide these new concepts. Currently, we're in the environmental phase of the design, also known as the PA and ED phase. And as part of that, the project team has developed 3 project goals to really kind of drive home why we're doing this and what needs to be fixed. And those goals are to improve pedestrian and bicycle access through the interchange. As you can see on the screen here, this is Luke's favorite picture from a site visit. It just happened to be a guy riding his bike through, and as you can see, he either needs to ride on the 4.5-foot sidewalk that's currently under the interchange or share the road with cars. And this gentleman has chosen to share the road with cars, but as you're going slow on a bicycle and cars are going at speed, it is kind of intimidating. The other goal that we're trying to do is we're trying to increase the movement and people and goods through the interchange. Now, whether that's, I think that's pretty self-explanatory here, that we need to get people through and we also need to get the goods through, with Sierra Community College being on the east side of the interchange and our downtown being on the west side. We want to create a connection that's between those 2 areas of town. And lastly, we want to enhance safety. As I briefly mentioned, for bicycle and pedestrians right now, your real only option is that small sidewalk on the south side of the interchange. And with this project, we're looking at some alternatives to provide a safer bicycle and pedestrian facility through the area. And with that, I will turn it over to Luke to kind of go in on where we're at and what the designs look like.
Great to see most of you again, and appreciate your continued attendance at these meetings. It's really important as we go through the project to get your input. So again, appreciate everyone attending. Last time we introduced what's called a DDI, a diverging diamond interchange. We had 3 concepts, and what we want to do in this meeting is explain it a little bit more to you, but we actually have a community meeting coming up in late April. So we love your feedback if something doesn't make sense, if we could explain it better. A DDI is basically, a diverging diamond interchange, is basically to allow more free flowing for traffic that's going from one side of the interchange to the other one. And so if you were traveling from Sierra Community College along Rocklin Road, you can see the blue line here in this exhibit. You would actually cross over to the other side of the roadway for about 700 feet, and then you could turn right on to westbound I-80 towards Sacramento without having to go through a second signal. So it eliminates traffic having to go through 2 signals like today. And we're actually gonna have a video right after this that'll explain a little bit more. If you recall, at our last stakeholder meeting, for those that were able to attend, we actually had 3 options, 3 concepts, and it looked at basically 3 different pedestrian bicycle options, but the roadway improvements, the diverging diamond interchange, is exactly the same between all 3 concepts. So Ranveer or Sonia or Roger and others, I don't know if there's any questions on the DDI or any concern.
So basically, if I'm understanding correctly, when I'm looking at this, we're trying to eliminate one traffic light, right? We're trying to make the flow of traffic more consistent on this.
Yes, exactly. Because we have the high amount, high level of traffic coming out of Sierra Community College, basically 750 vehicles during the peak hour in the evening. Right now they're having to go through one traffic signal and the second one, but if we do this crossover, then basically they only go through one signal and it will get right on to I-80 with only going through one signal.
Hey, Luke, I'd like to just
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was there's still going to be 2 traffic signals. We're not eliminating a traffic signal, but the main difference is that the movements onto the freeway from any direction, they are free movements that are not inhibited by a signal anymore. So you wouldn't have the queue backup of cars wanting to turn left onto the freeway in both directions. That's the big change here.
Thanks, Mike, for clarifying.
Sure.
We still will have 2 signals, but Sonia, you said you might be interested in a different movement.
Well, I just have a question. What are the numbers we're looking at? Because of COVID and everything else, have you guys done some sort of research as far as Sierra College and that movement? What is going on? Because a lot of people have, and this, I can tell you this from my business perspective of seeing how much flow is coming in through the streets, etc. A lot of these kids are doing just online schooling now. And because of COVID, this has become a new trend. So are we looking at current numbers, or are we still going back on our numbers that we had prior, if that makes sense where I'm coming from?
So I'll let Dave elaborate a little bit more, but maybe I can answer your question to start, and Dave can add if needed. So right now, Sierra College is 70% of their students are online, and Sierra College has been attending these stakeholder meetings, and but they fully anticipate eventually to go back 100% on campus. There may be 10 or 20% that are online, but what we've heard from them is that they plan to be on campus, and they're building parking structures and other amenities on campus, including bicycle networks and pedestrian networks, anticipating going back to campus. And so, Sonia, we're looking at 2028 is when this is being built. We fully anticipate, unless something else happens, which we can't control, that by 2028, when we build these improvements, that Sierra College will be almost, back to 80 or 90% on campus.
Okay, thank you for that. And then you said we're still going to have 2 traffic lights. So I'm looking at this image and I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe we can go to the next slide.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where the light still will be and how this will.
And one more slide, actually. We'll come back to the video. This is great, Sonia. This is what we wanted. So maybe one more slide, sorry. Can we go to the next one? Next one, sorry, we got quite a few things in here. A little preview. If we can go to alternative one, which I think is 2 more slides. Right here.
There you go.
So we actually put a little traffic signal, Sonia, on here, so it's easy. So at the eastbound ramps where the signal is today, we'll have another signal there. It's just instead of people going through movements, they're crossing over. Same with the westbound ramps. We'll have a traffic signal there, and instead of people going through, they're crossing over. You can see all the left and right turn movements are basically free, but in some cases they will be signal controlled. And I can walk through this in more detail, Sonia. Are you
Yeah,
good for that?
I would love to see the details. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it properly.
Okay, so let's go back to the DDI video. So we actually, Jacobs is working on a diverging diamond interchange in Alaska. And as part of that project, they created kind of an informational video. Now, this is a different interchange than we're proposing. This is just an example, and we're actually working on a video specific to Rocklin. So in this video, you'll see the pedestrian and bicyclists are going down the median. We are not planning to do that. That was an early concept that's been eliminated. But we wanted to play this video just for the stakeholders so you can see how a video might explain how a DDI works. And we'd love to hear any feedback on how we can better explain it with a video we're creating specifically for Rocklin Road. So with that, let's play the video.
Road corridor show that congestion will be reduced, traffic flow will improve, and pedestrian crossing times will be faster and safer, similar to what's been seen at Alaska's first DDI at the Glen Muldoon Interchange. Drivers report that DDIs are intuitive. Here's how they work. Drivers crossing the highway on O'Malley Road toward the mountains will go through a traffic signal, cross to the opposite side of the road under the bridge, and then cross back over again. Traffic traveling westbound on O'Malley Road toward Minnesota Drive will do the same. At the first signal, they cross to the opposite side of the road, go under the highway bridge, and cross back over again as they leave the DDI. Bicycles and pedestrians travel through the DDI in a protected central pathway. A major benefit of the DDI is that vehicles don't have to cross opposing traffic when entering or exiting the highway, which greatly reduces wait times at the interchange. A new east-west undercrossing at Scooter Avenue and Academy Drive will.
So that's just a clip. It's a longer 5-minute video it talks about other interchanges, but that's just a 1-minute clip. And so you can see the roadway passes under the interstate, just like Rocklin Road does. And then what we plan to do is talk about the pedestrian and bicycle options specific to Rocklin Road, but we're working on creating a 1 or 2-minute video that we would show in April. And I don't know, Sonia or Roger or Ranveer, if that video helped you understand the DDI at all.
I understand the concept of it and how it's working. My question is, where are we putting those new lights and where is that cross going to come on Rocklin Road, if that makes sense? Because I'm looking at my access for our business and I want to see where that's going to affect me.
Okay, so Sonia, we're going to dive real deep. Mike's got about 6 slides that he's going to dive in exactly how it affects your access. And we're going to spend most of the meeting on 76 and the ARCO. Okay, so if we could go to the next slide. Ranveer, did that make sense? You're on mute. You're good? Okay. Roger, are you good?
Well, the only question I have is in looking at this diamond construction is looking how much distance from the freeway the exits are. On this particular interchange at Rocklin, your businesses are almost right up against the freeway. And my question is, how are you going to get the kind of spacing from the actual freeway interchange to be able to put in these exits and entrances? I mean, this looks like it would take almost twice the room that it looks like is there.
A good point, Roger. We're going to dive into that. We definitely are, the existing access at 76 and Arco is almost 0 feet from the off ramp to the on ramp in some cases. So that's what we're going to dive into. And I hate to not answer your question right now, but I guess if I could finish up my slides, then Mike's going to dive into this, and we have some specific exhibits.
That's great. Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's get to the action, the main part of the show. So I'll get through these slides. I just wanted to say we really appreciate the stakeholders and the community. We had 46 people at the community meeting back in October 19th. At the stakeholder meeting, September 28th, of course, we had Sonia and Ranveer and Sierra Community College. We greatly appreciate that input, and that actually helped us to refine the concepts, but also we eliminated one of the concepts. We heard loud and clear from the community and the stakeholders that an undercrossing, which is shown here just north of Rocklin Road, was least favored due to potential homelessness, illegal activity, just not being able to monitor that area. So that concept has been eliminated. And so now we're down to 2 alternatives. So I did want to touch, Matt talked a little bit about one of our focuses is on improving access for pedestrian and bicyclists in this area. And actually the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, which is the regional planning agency for transportation for this area, actually did a survey back in 2017 of both the Rocklin Road and the Sierra College interchanges. And we got some pretty good feedback about the crossings here. And this is actually going to be great information for the city to go after state and federal grants to fund the interchange. But you could see, and hopefully you can read it, you could see some of the issues that pedestrians and bicyclists are having. They're basically avoiding this area. And as you know, the area to the west on I-80 is State Route 65. So you can't go west to cross I-80 because it's a freeway to freeway interchange. You would basically need to go down to Roseville Parkway or Eureka to cross I-80. And that's a good 3 miles to the west. And then to the east, you have Sierra Community College. As you all know, this is a newer interchange, but it's a very busy traffic area. So we actually think the Rocklin Road interchange may be the ideal spot for a regional connection across Interstate 80 for almost 4 miles, because even Horseshoe Bar Road, the next interchange up from Sierra College, isn't a great bicycle pedestrian crossing, even though the overcrossing was recently reconstructed. So, we're kind of focusing in on Rocklin Road as not only a connection between Sierra Community College and downtown Rocklin, but it would actually tie into the regional bike network, which is something that Sierra Community College has expressed interest into. And so we actually got some big data. We're tracking, if you don't know, you're being tracked by your cell phone. That's good and bad. It's bad for privacy. It's good for transportation geeks like us who want to know where you're going to and from. And hopefully you can read this graphic, but basically what we did is we did a screen line just west of Interstate 80 on Rocklin Road, so we could see where people are driving to and from. And it's actually pretty interesting. This is all motorists along Rocklin Road. You can actually see folks that are going eastbound, so going towards Sierra Community College. They might be coming out of the 76 gas station and going to Sierra Community College, or just coming from downtown, or coming off the ramp from the Auburn area. And you can see almost 3,000 trips are traveling less than a mile. And so I want to quantify this. If someone went to Starbucks and stopped there and walked in and got their coffee and stopped there for 5 minutes, and maybe they're coming from Auburn, but then got back in their car and drove to Sierra Community College, that would count as a trip. So we're not saying that all these trips are only driving a mile. We're saying that they're driving a mile between destinations. So they might have gone to the cleaners or Arby's and stopped for 5 minutes and then kept going. but there is about 3,000 trips that are traveling less than a mile. So we think some percentage of those are people that are driving from a house or somewhere else that could be walking or biking. And the same is true for the westbound direction. So people that are leaving Sierra Community College, about 2,000 people a day, sorry, I should have said a day, 2,000 people a day are traveling less than 1 mile. So again, people that could be walking or biking. So about 5,000 trips out of the 20,000 a day on Rocklin Road are driving less than a mile. And we think we could convert some of those people to walk and bike if we made it an easier crossing of Interstate 80. We think Interstate 80 is a big barrier for people walking and biking in the area.
I have a question on that. On those numbers, we're saying just within a mile, but where are we looking at? How many people are actually travelers off the interstate that are just stopping to get gas? So they're going to 76 or they're going to Arco and they're going to Arby's or they're going to Taco Bell or any of the businesses that are right there because it's a quick in and out. So I see the 2,000 number, but how many of that is consistent? And it's not just people traveling in and out because of the quick and easy freeway access.
For sure, that's captured in here. So someone could get off at the eastbound off ramp, make a left turn, go into 76, get gas. They're stopped there for 5 minutes, and then they're coming out of that driveway and turning, going left onto eastbound, continuing on their trip to Tahoe. For sure, that's in there. And so those people, obviously, we wouldn't expect to walk or bike from San Francisco to Tahoe, but we're going to dive into these numbers more, Sonia, and figure out, okay, of the 5,000, how many are local? How many are not people going from San Francisco to Tahoe that just happen to stop at Arco or Arby's or 76 for 5 minutes?
Yeah, and it's not even just the Bay Area, like just even coming from Sacramento down, a lot of my customers they stop because it's coming from Sac down and it's a quick stop, use the bathroom. So a lot of it isn't even all the way from the Bay Area or going to Tahoe. It's just local commute. They're going up to Auburn, for example. Yeah. They live in Auburn and they're commuting to Sacramento. So it's just, we're kind of in that middle zone where they don't want to stop on Eureka or these other exits because this is a quick and easy exit with easy access as of now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Absolutely. I drove this corridor for years, and I've frequented both all these businesses along here, and I worked in Auburn and lived in the Lincoln Roseville area, and so you're right. This is an easy access area. It's highway commercial oriented for a reason, and definitely that's being captured in here. And so we are going to try and drill down and figure out, okay, who are the people that are literally driving a mile from their house to something, not, living in Roseville and driving up to Auburn for work and just stopping here. So it's a good point, Sonia. We need to drill into those numbers more, and we should have more information at the community meeting in April. Dave, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, if I missed anything.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well, Luke. I guess we do have the ability to get to that origin destination type information and know where people are coming to and from on this corridor. What we're trying to show in that previous graph is just the likelihood that that there are people that want to bike and walk in this corridor, but just don't now because of the conditions that are out there. And so we have good indications that this is a good place to improve those type of facilities.
So Sonia, what we can do is we can drill into a specific property, and we've done that with Sierra Community College here. We've looked at who is coming from Sierra Community College, and we've included their parking lot on the south side. Again, this data is actually from 2019, so it's pre-COVID, and when people were actually driving. And so if you look at the top graph there, that's actually everyone going to the campus. So it may be a little hard to see, but there's about 500 people that are driving to the campus, and it's less than 1.5 miles from their origin. Now, that could have been someone that was coming from Roseville, stopped at AM/PM for 5 minutes, and then went to campus, and therefore, because they stopped for 5 minutes, it's counted as a trip from ARCO to the campus. But again, you can see there's about 500 people going to campus and 500 people leaving campus that are driving less than 1.5 miles between when they stop. And so again, we feel like there's 1,000 people out of the 20,000 per day on Rocklin Road, that some portion of those could be walking and biking. And Sierra Community College has really emphasized that they're improving their walking and biking facilities on campus, and they would like to connect into the regional system. So we're actually going to build the sidewalk along Rocklin Road on the north side at Aguilar there that's currently missing. Things like that to help facilitate walking and biking along this corridor.
Yeah, and I would also like to see the numbers, because Sierra College is a commuter school. So that's something that we need to consider as well. So we're talking about biking and this and that. How many of these students are actually in the region to even walk or bike to school? Because it's in this whole area, it's a commuter school. So most of them drive, and that's why Sierra College is building the parking lot, etc., because that's exactly what this school is. It's for Auburn, even from Sacramento down to Roseville, etc. It is a commuter school for people that live outside of Rocklin itself.
Absolutely. And if you look at these graphics, there's about 18,000 vehicles per day that are going to the campus and leaving the campus. So 36,000 trips a day. And, obviously they don't all go towards the interchange. They go towards Sierra College and other ways to access the campus. All we're saying is that of the 18,000 trips that are coming to the campus, about 500 are less than 1.5 miles. And we know some portion of those 500 are people that are driving from Roseville, stopping at ARCO, and then going to campus. So even if there was only 100 or 200 that are literally driving from their house on the other side of Rocklin Road, or they could be just the houses on the south side of Rocklin Road, right? They're driving from south of Rocklin Road to the north side to Sierra Community College. Those are just people that could be walking or biking, is all we're saying, Sonia. But we know it's a low percentage. We know, if it was 20,000 people and 500 were walking or biking, we know that's 2.5%. It's a low percentage. What these graphics show is that, most people are driving 10, 15, 20 miles to the campus, and we're not expecting those people to walk or bike.
And I agree with you on that, because I will say, if we're looking at 2019 numbers, a lot of these are people that are coming from Roseville, etc. We're a stop for them. The college kids stop by. So that's where I'm wondering how accurate these numbers are, because they stop by and then, yeah, they're only traveling 1 mile, but they've already stopped at ARCO, and because they get a beverage, or they get their breakfast, or whatever they need for their school day in the morning, or even in the evening, because it's still a stop for them, because we're right there on their access level.
Yeah, what I'll say is probably less than, there's like 6-8 pedestrians out there today. So you think about 20,000 cars, that's dust. But if there were 100 or 200 that walked and bike, well, then we're getting into maybe 1% of traffic walking or biking. And that little change would make it a potentially worthwhile investment for the city to upgrade the bike and pedestrian facilities in this area. We certainly wouldn't build bicycle and pedestrian facilities if we thought only 5 people were going to use them on a daily basis. That doesn't make economical sense. But if 100 or 200 were going to use it on a daily basis, then we start to get to the point of it makes sense to build it. But also what this project is doing is, the sidewalk that's there today, we do need to remove it so that we can fit 5 lanes through this area and not replace the ID bridge. And so by removing that sidewalk, we need to replace it with something. So there's kind of a dual benefit here. One is we're accommodating an additional lane, and Dave's going to get into the traffic numbers, but also, we need to put the pedestrian and bicyclists somewhere, and hopefully we'd make it a safer travel and maybe encouraging more walking and biking.
But if we remove that sidewalk and let's say we do the biking and this like in the middle, the way it's on that plan that I saw, right? It would be in between. I'm looking at it from a business perspective. Now I'm gonna even lose all these bikers, et cetera. Where is their access to our businesses, to 76, to us, to Arby's, to Taco Bell? How do they get access into? Because if there's no sidewalk there for our businesses, now we're gonna also lose the foot traffic and the bikers, et cetera.
Yeah. So we'll get into those details. Let's keep rolling here. I can tell I'm holding up the main show, which is Mike Robinson. So let's move on to the next slide. So just quickly, I want to, we've rebranded everything. We have 2 alternatives now. You can see where the traffic signals are. This is alternative 1. Again, the roadway improvements are the exact same between the 2 alternatives, but you can see we have a separated pedestrian bicycle overcrossing north of Rocklin Road. This is changing. We're currently designing it. It's going to meander more and take up more of this area, but we will have a staircase that will go from the path up to the structure on both sides, so people don't have to walk the whole direction. We heard that at the community meeting, the stakeholder meeting. The added direction travel is a big concern. But this alternative does avoid impacting the I-80 bridge over Rocklin Road, which we anticipate would be a huge cost to replace and widen. And that's why some of the early planning options were eliminated. But as I mentioned, it's a less direct pedestrian and bicycle route. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on alternative 1. We did share this exact figure last time. So Roger, you haven't seen this before, but we shared this at the previous stakeholder meeting. Okay, so this is brand new. You haven't seen this. One of the things that we have an opportunity with the pedestrian bicycle overcrossing under alternative 1 that we don't have under alternative 2 is to brand it for the city, make it a gateway, make it an entry point for the city. And so these are just some very preliminary ideas. We'd love to get your feedback. The first one at the top there tries to incorporate the city's logo. The second one also incorporates the city's logo, but expands it a little bit. And then the bottom one is just a variation of, other areas have done this. This is somewhat similar to what Loomis did at the Horseshoe Bar Road interchange, where in the fencing, you can see they have Loomis. So it'd be something similar here. Again, just for the pedestrian bicycle overcrossing, this would be an entryway. So we'd love to hear your gut reaction on if you like 1, 2, or 3, or you don't like any of them, and we should go back to the drawing board.
I'm looking at this and I'm looking at where would that overpass exactly? Where would that, I'm just trying to picture it.
We could go back 2 slides here. So you see where the gray is just above Rocklin Road? That's the overcrossing.
But we're still looking at changing the lanes with that overpass. So this would be an additional item to it, or are we eliminating that middle access for the pedestrians? Is this like the alternative? I'm trying to visualize.
Sonia, I can tell I've totally confused everyone by showing that video. Pedestrian and bicyclists will not be walking down the median. That was just an example from a different area. Pedestrian and bicyclists under alternative 1 are all going to be at Aguilar. They would cross to the north side of Rocklin Road, come along the sidewalk. They would cross and these are at grade crossings at the westbound ramps. And then they'd follow that black line, that trail up to the gray. And the gray is a structure. So the structure would go up and over. And I don't know if someone has a laser pointer.
I understand what you're saying now. I'm looking at it. The only thing for me is that eliminates, I'm on the other side. My business is right here. So doing this project eliminates a lot for us, if that makes sense to you, but it's not coherent for us because it's just, I'm looking at that, we're losing all that traffic all the way to the opposite side and they're going to be going, so I'm going to miss. So even if we're doing this I'm just thinking about the businesses in the area and the way this is constructed, it's not I mean, it doesn't really work for us. We'll actually lose business versus anything else. And
So,
especially
Sonia,
if we're getting rid of the sidewalk altogether.
So Sonia, we want to dive into these details with you. I guess I'm curious, how many people walk or bike to your store on a daily basis, let's say?
So we don't have a lot, but currently because of COVID, but prior to, yes, because we're so close to the college itself, it's a quick little walk down and they're able to just come down and get their beverages, etc. But the other thing I want to point out is, I know we said these are 2019 numbers, and I know you guys said that 70% of college kids are supposedly going to be going back into Sierra College. I'd like to see that number actually be more reflected, because I've talked to a lot of, kids that are going to Sierra College and everything. And because of COVID, this has become, online schooling has become the new trend. It's just something that they've realized, oh, I don't need to drive. I don't have to spend on gas. I don't need to, why am I going to pay for a dorm room? Especially on a commuter college, because this isn't a 4-year college. It's, so just, I think those numbers need to be a little more accurate.
Fair enough. And, Sierra Community College is one of our stakeholders. We were hoping they were going to be here today. They could have answered your question a little more directly. My information is a couple months dated because they were at the last stakeholder meeting, but definitely they're going to be future ones. I do want to say, Sonia, we still will have a sidewalk going from Arco over to Sierra Community College. We are not eliminating that. The only sidewalk that will be eliminated is the one that goes from your gas station to downtown Rocklin. It would be eliminated. So someone coming out of Arco would need to walk down to Aguilar, cross to the north side, then cross I-80 and get across to downtown Rocklin. So we are changing the directness of the current sidewalk. You are correct.
Yeah, the one right there on Aguilar, right? That's the one we're eliminating.
Say one more time.
On the light right there on Aguilar, right from there, so that they won't be able to cross over on Aguilar coming over toward the other side.
They will at Aguilar, the traffic signal, we're not touching that.
Okay.
We're leaving that signal, so they would be able to cross at Aguilar over to the college. Ranveer.
Last time we discussed 3 new options. I don't see that one on the plans.
You are right. This is an older graphic, Ranveer, and I'm trying to get to Mike Robinson as fast as I can. He's the show. He's going to dive into that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, what we're seeing on the screen here are our initial concepts. We've advanced the design a fair amount, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's advance. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Why can't we put the sidewalk on both sides? That interchange right there. Like Sonia, she's saying because she's going to miss out on all that foot traffic, or put it on this side for it'd be good for all our businesses. It will stay where it's at, basically. So flyover rather than walking under the bridge.
Let's go to alternative 2. If we could advance the slides, then I think it'd be easier to explain. So alternative 2, and sorry, I didn't catch your name at the start.
He's Gurmeet Garewal from
Gurmeet, am I saying it right?
Yes.
Gurmeet, thank you for that comment. So we have 2 things going on here, Gurmeet. One is most of the traffic at this interchange is coming off Interstate 80 off the eastbound off ramps. It's a really high traffic movement. And in the future, both the left and the right. And we have most of the traffic getting on to I-80 westbound going towards Roseville. Yes, there's traffic going towards Auburn and Tahoe, but most of the traffic is coming from San Francisco, Sacramento, Roseville, Rocklin, well, I should say Roseville, Lincoln area. And so there's a lot of pedestrian bicycle conflicts on the south side where we're actually seeing some fatalities. There was one fatality just west of the interchange. Bicyclists are using the sidewalk instead of the roadway, and so they're hitting pedestrians. And so we're seeing accidents with pedestrian and bicyclists and cars because of the current configuration. By moving the sidewalk to the north side of Rocklin Road, we really eliminate a lot of the conflict points, and there's just less traffic getting on the ramps on the north side. So that's That's one reason we want to move the sidewalk to the north side, is to reduce the conflicts between pedestrians and bicyclists and vehicles. But secondly, you can see here on alternative 2, so again, the roadway is exactly the same. How pedestrian and bicyclists get to the interchange is the same. The difference is that we're going to have an undercrossing for pedestrian and bicyclists right next to Rocklin Road. So this will be right next to the road. The bicyclists and pedestrians will be able to see cars. It'll be open with columns, and cars will be able to see the bicyclists and pedestrians. So if someone set up a homeless camp, a tent in there, the police, Rocklin PD, would be able to drive by and see that and address the issue. It's not like our other concept where the undercrossing would be further north and you wouldn't be able to have eyes on it. So this is a much more direct path. We really can't do this on the south side of the bridge, again, because of all the vehicle conflicts. We want to eliminate those vehicle conflicts and improve safety. That's one of our main criteria, is to improve safety. So we realize this is an impact on the AM, PM, and the 76 for people that are walking or biking. I should say walking. Someone biking can still travel along the roadway and share the roadway just like they do today and access your business. It's really people walking to 76 and AM, PM, ARCO. They're going to have to, for the AM, PM, they're going to have to go over to Aguilar, cross to the north side, then come back along. For 76, if someone was coming from Sierra Community College, they would walk along, cross the interchange, actually go down to Granite Drive, cross there, and then they'd be at Arby's or 76. So Granite will still have a traffic signal, will still have the pedestrian crossings there, but it won't be as direct as it is today.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
I have a question for you. I'm looking at this picture right now. So this is like right here, it's our site. So is there still going to be a left turn available from if you're going towards the freeway,
Yes.
you're coming down, there'll still be access to my business, correct?
You can
Both
see that
ways.
left. You can see the left.
That little arrow, right? So that will still be available.
Yes.
Okay.
So just real quickly, alternative 2, I think I've talked about it, but I did want to point out that there's increased visibility for pedestrian and bicyclists with that more direct route. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dave Stanek.
All right, just briefly, I'll talk about the traffic analysis we've been working on. We've talked a lot about what's going on directly at Rocklin and I-80, but our study area does include all the way up to Sierra College, the main entrance there at Eldon Drive. And we're also studying the interchange at Sierra College Boulevard and I-80, because we know that once we make changes at Rocklin Road, we're going to see traffic shift from Sierra College. And then we're also looking along I-80 itself to make sure what the effect of the new project will have on the freeway, so that people who are driving past, we can account for that change. Next slide. So this is our analysis model that we have. We can go ahead and get it started running. This is showing the PM peak hour, and we're using traffic volumes that were collected back in 2018. I'm showing the PM, so you'll see the westbound direction backing up with all the traffic coming from Sierra College off to the right and trying to head to westbound 80. We're using the same simulation model to evaluate future conditions as well. Under existing conditions in the AM in the morning, it's really all that traffic trying to get off of eastbound 80 and heading to the college. That is a concern. And then here in the PM, again, the issue is really that westbound traffic coming along Rocklin, trying to squeeze into that one lane pocket and having to go through both signals, both the one here, and you can see the traffic's backed all the way up, as well as the one on the other side of the freeway. And then trying to get all that traffic through that one lane, all the vehicles that want to head back to Sacramento and Roseville in the evening. Again, a lot of it associated with the college. And then as we continue on in the video, you can see we get over to the Granite Drive intersection. All right, so go on to the next slide. When we're doing the traffic analysis, we need to make sure that the improvements that we come up with are going to last for a good long time. So normally we go for 20 years out. So we're looking at planned improvements. And so this figure shows both the planned development in the area. So up at the Sierra College Boulevard interchange at I-80, we have a lot of development projects, a lot of shopping centers that are planned, and quite a bit have been developed already. And then down near Rocklin Road and Sierra College, there are some planned residential developments, as well as planned expansion of the college itself. It's planning to have quite a bit more students under future conditions when it's built out. And then finally, the roadways as well will be improved. You can see there are planned future widenings of Rocklin Road and Sierra College to 6 lanes, as well as a planned new overcrossing at Dominguez Road to help with the circulation within the city itself. So when we put this all into our forecasting model and we take a look at what we expect the traffic volumes will grow to in the future, we see that between existing, which is in blue, and the volumes in the future, which are in gold color, most legs coming around the interchange are growing about by 50%. And the one area that we see a lot of growth is, again, that heading eastbound away from the freeway. We expect an increase of almost 100%, a doubling in the PMP count. And then this is the no build growth. And then once we do put in the improvements, we do see some increase of about 100 to 200 vehicles and some movements as people shift from going the longer route via Sierra College Boulevard and being able to take the more shorter direct route on Rocklin Road to Sierra College and other destinations. And then finally, we have some preliminary results from our future model. So definitely without any improvements, we're seeing that the no-build alternative, the existing configuration, we'd expect travel times in the area to increase quite a bit. Currently, heading westbound in the evening, we're seeing it's about 2 minutes to get from the college to westbound I-80, but that could increase to up to as much as 10 minutes or more without any improvements. With the planned improvements, like you're seeing before the diverging diamond interchange, that travel time would go back down to about 2 minutes. And then similarly, we would see some other improvements heading in the eastbound direction, getting away from the freeway, going towards Sierra College, whereas today it might take 2 minutes to make that trip. That could be as much as 15 or 16 minutes in the future. And with the improvements, we can get that down to less than 3 minutes. So really, again, we were seeing that the planned diverging diamond really provides that connection. It makes the I-80 less of a barrier between the east and west sides of the city of Rocklin. Next slide. I think this goes over to Mike.
All right, thanks, Dave. So as Matt mentioned at the beginning of our meeting here, we are in what Caltrans calls the PAED phase. And really that's just kind of a fancy term for our preliminary engineering. So all of the slides and pictures that you've seen so far in this presentation were really kind of some of our initial concepts. But what we have been working on since last fall is actually the preliminary engineering of this, getting into the specifics. And so I believe it was mid last week, we made our first submittal to Caltrans for what we're calling the geometric approval drawings, which is the actual layout of what would be constructed here, what we're proposing. So these next couple slides, I'll just go through here and kind of go into the specifics. And please feel free to stop me if there's just anything you want to talk about when we see it. So we'll just start here with the westbound off ramp and the changes that we're going to be making here. One of the bigger changes on the project actually is we're going to be shifting the off ramp a little bit closer, right up on the right-of-way line there, where you can see the KFC on A&W, and there is going to be a retaining wall, basically, along the shoulder of the ramp. And the reasoning we are shifting this over is just to add some curvature and to help slow traffic down a little bit as they approach the interchange, and also just to kind of help line up with the location of the crossover interchange. So there aren't any impacts here to any of the businesses. The type of wall, there's likely going to be a temporary construction easement that's required in this area, but permanently there won't be any impacts. And then here's just the overview of Rocklin Road to the west. And so this does show what we had discussed, Ranveer, when we met out in the field with you there. One of the larger changes that has happened since we began our conceptual designs is that we have added a third lane on eastbound Rocklin, really between Granite Drive and the entrance ramp. And this was something that in Fair and Pier's analysis determined is really necessary to make the eastbound traffic work, to make the interchange work. Without this, because that is one of the heavier movements also, is the eastbound Rocklin onto westbound I-80, making that right turn right at the 76 there. And if we didn't have this additional lane in here, it really caused a huge backup on Granite Drive, because it would plug up all the majority of vehicles that are heading south on Granite that want to turn left onto Rocklin. And it also backed up on Rocklin Road back to the roundabout further to the west. So there is going to be a property impact at the 76 gas station there. And I know the details of what the reconfigurations are at the 76 are something to be determined at a later date. Other than that, there isn't too much of an impact. You may see along the RBs there, we are going to be, that third lane does get extended there. It won't impact the drive-through, but there will be some impact to that landscaped section between the drive-through area and the sidewalk, as that's getting pushed out through there. I guess before we move forward, were there any questions here on Rocklin west of the interchange? Okay, we'll move forward then. And then this is just showing some of the changes that are required to the westbound on-ramp. One of the things that we are doing here is we're trying to maximize the length of this ramp within the state right-of-way here. That is just done to help provide storage, because these ramps will be metered. That is something that Caltrans has asked for with this. And so in order to kind of get as much length out of this, we're moving it as close to the state property there as possible. So there is a retaining wall, small retaining wall that will just go along the edge there, and that's indicated by the white lines with the little triangles on the bottom of them. Again, there's not going to be any property take here for any of the hotels. There may just be some temporary impacts during construction that happen, but no other changes there. And then along the eastbound off-ramp, and one thing I do want to note that's not shown here in this picture is that there is a project, and I'm not sure of where they are. I believe they're 100% designed and is likely going to be out for bid in the somewhat near future, but there is an auxiliary lane extension on Interstate 80 in the eastbound direction that will be affecting this off-ramp. It's going to become a 2-lane exit. And so that doesn't really change any of what we see here, just other than the picture itself, where there's a, kind of the current 1 lane is going to be converted to a 2-lane exit. I don't have an update on the timing of that though, but it certainly will be constructed before our project would go to construction. The main changes here with this off-ramp are that we are now adding essentially a fourth lane. It's currently a 3-lane ramp up to the intersection. That fourth lane is what would then, we would have 2 left turn lanes and 2 right turn lanes. Probably the biggest change here, and maybe we can go to on the next slide because I think it'll show it a little bit better, is some of the revisions we've made with this intersection, you know, the crossover intersection. This would be the east crossover intersection. We've slid it a little bit to the west since our initial concepts there, and the purpose on that was maintaining the access, that driveway. I would just call it the western driveway to the Arco AMPN there. That, you know, that access is the old frontage road that used to come through there before, I believe the interchange was reconfigured in the mid-90s or so. And so essentially we're maintaining those existing traffic movements into there. And that is really the biggest change as far as what's happened over on this side, on the east side, since you guys saw the initial concepts. Oh, Luke, go ahead, jump in.
Maybe we can go back. So Sonia, and actually Ranveer, I want to go back to your property also, but Sonia, I'll start with you. So you see the driveway on the north side of Rocklin Road that goes into the vacant property?
Yes.
Okay. So that's just a private driveway. There's just a fence there with a mailbox. It's not heavily used. I'm sure the property owner, you know, accesses it occasionally. Caltrans has let us know that we need to shift that driveway further to the east towards Aguilar. Okay, so we probably will shift that driveway towards Secret Ravine more.
Wait, we're talking about, hold on, now you're confusing me. The first one coming off the freeway, the big.
He's talking opposite across the street from.
Okay, so that first driveway, he's saying we have to shift that?
So can someone get a laser pointer going here?
The one on the vacant lot that's across Rocklin from you.
Hold on, Mike.
Let
me explain. Because Sonia, I want to make sure I mean, this is the most important part of the meeting right now.
Yeah.
And same for you, Ranveer, on your side. So I don't know, Esme, can you point to that driveway on the north side of Rocklin Road? You're almost there. The driveway.
Oh, to enter back to the freeway.
Oh, you're talking about the freeway entrance.
No,
Sorry.
No, look where her mouse pointer is now. It's on the driveway.
Okay.
You see that driveway?
Yeah, we have nothing to do with that.
I know, sorry, Sonia.
Okay.
I like to tell stories, so give me a second to paint the picture for you here.
Okay.
Caltrans, we met with them. We talked about the geometric approval drawings. They have access control over this roadway. The city does not. The Caltrans determines where the driveways go. And what Caltrans will tell you is their standards are that driveways need to be 50 feet from the ramp. And currently, this driveway, this private driveway, if we can point to it again, that driveway is less than 50 feet from the ramp. So we need to shift it further to the east.
Got it.
It's at least 50 feet away. If we come to your driveways, so if we go to the China Garden Road, the old China Garden Road right next, if we can point to that one next to the off ramp, the driveway on the south side of Rocklin Road. South side of Rocklin Road.
Right. Yeah, I know where you're talking. Yeah.
I know you are, but the person pointing doesn't. Okay, there's the off ramp. There we go. At that driveway there. Where's the old China Garden Road? Where the pointer is right now. Okay, that's 0 feet from the off ramp. It's like that today. It's 0 feet today, and the way we're proposing it is 0 feet. So what we need to get for this driveway is what's called the design exception. Okay, so Caltrans would have to allow this driveway. I can tell you right now, and Chris Ladias is on here. He's representing Caltrans. And we're not trying to make Caltrans the bad guy. It really is a partnership between the consultants, the stakeholders, Rocklin, and Caltrans to figure out a solution here. And the reality is that driveway being so close to the off-ramp, even today causes issues. Not for you, not for your access. Your access is great, but what we have to balance is mobility versus access. People traveling along Rocklin Road versus access. And so we're trying to balance that, Sonia. We're gonna have to come up with some options here. And what Caltrans has asked us is if we could meet with you more and talk about how your tanker trucks come into the site. Jacobs is gonna run some truck turning templates for the left turn in for both these driveways to figure out how could a truck coming off the eastbound off ramp get off? They'd have to go into the outside lane or the inside lane to get in that first driveway. They likely don't do that. They probably go in the second driveway. But we're going to run some truck turning templates and figure out what trucks could do, because we want to make sure we accommodate the trucks. But we'd like to get more information from you about, okay, once they're on the site, where do they go to and from? And where can they turn around on your site? And
they come in on that other entrance, but they leave out on that one by the freeway, because that's the only way the truck can turn around and get back off the premises.
And so we're all talking the same here. What I call driveway 1 is the one next to the freeway. What I call driveway 2 is the one closer to Secret Ravine. You're saying they come in driveway 2.
Come in on 2 and they leave on 1.
And when they leave on 1, they're going down to Aguilar and making a U-turn?
Correct.
So Sonia, what
No,
if,
they don't, not a U-turn.
Yeah, they can't make that.
They make a right turn.
they make a right turn onto Rocklin Road and then head down to Sierra College and then hit the freeway, go up Sierra College?
They make a right on Aguilar and then they turn around off of Aguilar and come back down and then make a left onto Rocklin Road.
They're going down Aguilar, turning around somewhere and then coming back and making a left onto Rocklin Road.
Correct.
Okay, so something that's been put out there that, again, I can't say that would get approval of this, but something that's been talked about is an option. Again, Sonia, an option. We would love to maintain full access for you, just like it is today. That's what you're seeing is exactly like it is today. But an option that's being talked about is that driveway 1, what if that was right out only? And we didn't allow right turns in and everyone had to use the second driveway to turn in. And you can think about that, Sonia. You don't need to answer today. We're just putting that out there.
Yeah, maybe we can get together with my dad and I'd like to sit down and look at this and maybe we can, I don't want to waste everyone else's time either, but I think it'd be something we can sit down and look at and kind of discuss exactly, and we could explain to you exactly in more detail how everything is.
That would be great, Sonia. So what we'll do is before the April community meeting, we'll come meet out on site with you.
Yeah,
Mike and I will, along with Matt, and we'll come up with a couple options and just talk it through with you.
Yeah,
I would just like to say, this is Roger, I'd just like to say, we own the property on the other side of Arco to the left of this picture. So if there's any changes, we would really like to know what's going to happen there.
Thank you, Roger. Can you specify, are you saying towards China Garden Road?
Yes.
Behind
this
Arco.
property that goes along the tree line, right on the other side, right below the exit here, that property we have.
Right where it says Rocklin Road / eastbound I-80 intersection.
Correct.
Yes. Okay,
So
Roger.
if there's any major changes, we would want to know what's going on there.
We're going to meet with you and Sonia out in the field in the next week or 2.
Okay.
Sounds great. You have my email, I think, or I don't know if you need my phone number for it, but
we have your contact info, Sonia.
Perfect.
Katie, do we have Roger's contact info? Yes. Okay. We will follow up with you both and do an on-site meeting. If we could go back just 2 slides to the other side, one more. Ranveer, we came out and met on the site. We presented 3 options. I appreciate Arby's being here also because you can see you're slightly being impacted. We don't think we'll impact your drive-through at Arby's. I think we'll move that existing retaining wall back further, but it will be getting into your property. So I'm not sure if you have any comments related to RVs or any concerns.
Yeah,
Third, isn't it?
you know, I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, how many feet are you gonna be coming towards the RV drive-through?
We don't have that detail yet. We're still working. We need to get comments back from the city and Caltrans, but at the next stakeholder meeting, I'm going to talk about next steps. We'll have another stakeholder meeting in the fall. We'll have those details.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't impact my drive-through, I think we'll be okay.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for being at this meeting, by the way. Ranveer, I'm going to deliver the same bad news to you. You have 3 driveways. One is right where you see Jack in the Box on Rocklin Road. You have the second one at 76 on the one side of your gas pumps. And then you have a third driveway on closest to I-80. That third driveway is actually less than 0 feet. It's negative feet because it's actually in the ramp. And so we need to talk more about that third driveway and how you're thinking about reconstructing your site. And it may be very difficult to get a design exception for that third driveway, Ranveer, but I want to get your thoughts, and you can share it here or we can do it offline.
I think we can do offline.
Okay, sounds good. We will follow up with you on the third driveway also.
Okay.
The good news is, Ranveer, we think the first and second driveways are fine. Those are not an issue. We have enough space. It's the third driveway. I'll just throw it out there. One idea is to shift both the second and third driveways further to the west and just reconstruct them. But we'll come up with some options and talk with you more.
Okay.
Okay, Mike, back to you. Sorry.
Sure. I think I only had one more slide. If you want to jump forward, it was, yeah, this next one. This is just there's no impact really here to any of the stakeholders, but it does show that we are realigning this eastbound 80 on ramp. The reason for this shift was we just we're trying to avoid the property impacts here, this private property on the corner. And we needed to relocate the ramp a little bit just to make the vertical grade work easier through here. But as you can see, it's a pretty minor shift, not too much change, and it is minimizing the impacts to the private property. That's really the summary I have of where the design currently is. So please, if there's any other questions, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley here, and she's going to talk about some of the environmental technical studies that have been happening on the project.
Sure, thanks, Mike. So another aspect of besides preliminary engineering, we're also working on the environmental document. So there are numerous environmental technical studies that are in the works right now. They're in progress to lead towards the final overall environmental document. So these are just some of the studies that we're currently working on. There have been no red flags so far with our environmental team as they're out there doing these studies. It's just the process we have to go through and doing the due diligence for the project to check everything from noise to air quality, visual resources that includes any loss of trees or disruption to the landscape areas, which we can mitigate with the project. Hazardous materials would be if there's any known or potential contaminants out there or from construction. Review of the biological resources. Again, that's focused on the trees, the nesting birds, and impacts to existing resources out there. Cultural resources, that includes tribal consultation with the Native American tribes. And then the CEQA and NEPA process is an overall summary of the technical work and a requirement for the environmental document. So if there aren't any questions on what's happening environmental-wise, we can talk about the overall project schedule. So the goal of this phase of the project is to have a completed preliminary design and completed and approved environmental document. From there, we're able to move into final design of the project and then construction. And our goal is to have this environmental document phase complete by the end of this year, which will allow us to move into design, do any right-of-way acquisitions that are needed, and then complete construction in 2027 or 2028, depending on which alternative is selected. So now we'll move to questions and answers.
So I
Hopefully
really
answers.
I appreciate everyone's time. We're running over an hour. We're more than happy to stick around and answer any other questions, but we really appreciate everyone calling in. I do have a next step slide after this, but any other remaining questions?
I just had a quick question on the traffic study. Did we take into consideration if the Costco is going in up at Sierra College?
Yeah, actually, we do have the Costco in there and its associated signal and its traffic that is in the design year model.
Okay.
We do see significant traffic congestion at the I-80 Sierra College interchange under future conditions. That's stuff we've seen in previous traffic analyses that we've done in the area. There's definitely a need for looking at other improvements to that interchange to help with the demand that's going to be anticipated out there in the future.
Okay, and the one other thing I would mention is that, just as a comment, the businesses along Sierra College are moving down towards Sierra College itself, and with the idea that I think a number of the businesses want people to bypass Rocklin, go up to Sierra College and loop around and come in that way. We just put in a quick whack, and it looks like the possibility of a Dutch Brothers right next door to it, which would draw a lot of the traffic up to Sierra College, loop around, which is less than a minute from the parking lot at Sierra College. I just wanted to mention that because that's kind of a future idea they're trying to come up with.
Yeah, and we have evidence anecdotally that that's already happened in the past, where if people are coming up, heading to the college, and they see that Rocklin Road off ramp is backing up, they can just keep going and loop around. And especially with the new garage on the north side of campus now, that's definitely going to be something in the near term that people will be doing. Again, as we saw on the previous slide, Dan, we're looking at 2028 maybe as the construction year. So in the near term, people are going to be doing a lot of that. So we're definitely taking that into account when we get out to 20 years beyond 2028, and we're modeling what might happen out then. Again, this is our best guess on what those traffic volumes might be. Again, we'll see a lot of people still want to stay on Rocklin despite the congestion, just because it's a quicker path, but there will be a lot of diversion to Sierra College Boulevard. And then once we improve it, we see some diversion of traffic back to Rocklin Road when we can provide
Yeah, my biggest concern, and the reason I brought this up, is because depending on the way that the Costco traffic goes, if it loads up Granite, it's going to change the traffic flow pretty heavily coming onto Rocklin Road from the other direction.
Right.
That's all I had, really. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Roger. We appreciate again you being in this meeting, and it sounds like you own property throughout. So your input, these two interchanges are really interconnected. And so we tried to study both interchanges, looking at everything. Any other questions?
I just wanted to maybe make one little comment, Luke, if possible. So my name is Chris again. I'm a project manager with Caltrans. I'm on this project. Obviously, the city of Rocklin is in charge, and Luke and the city of Rocklin, they're moving forward on this. It sounds like you guys, I know, and Luke is a wonderful project manager with Jacobs. Reaching out and trying to figure out your guys' site access is really critical at this point. Getting these field meetings in, and hopefully you guys will be able to come to some type of a resolution. That none of this is going to be coming from Caltrans, but we do have our standard guidelines that we have to accommodate and look out for. So all this information will be sent to Caltrans. We'll review it, and our folks will approve or reject all of it. But we really do look forward to working with all of you guys and produce the best project possible. not just for the three folks, you know, here, but for the region in general. So I just wanted to let that be known. I know most people think that Caltrans are the ones doing this, but this is actually the City of Rocklin, as you're well aware of at this point. So just wanted to reach that out there. We're great partners. We think this is a great project, and hopefully we could get to a good conclusion on the project. So just with my first introduction into the project, just wanted to say hi, and there's a great team here. So that was really all.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, no, I think it's been a great partnership between the stakeholders and the business and the local community and City of Rocklin and Caltrans. So hopefully we can keep that going. Anything else? Okay, if not, I'll just show you real quick next steps, just so you know what's coming up. We actually are meeting with our project development team on Thursday this week. That includes the Caltrans City and the consultants, and we'll talk about everything we talked about today and some of the refinements we need to make. I guess I did want to ask Ranveer or Roger and Sonia or others that are there, any initial reaction to the PED overcrossing and that signage? Does it matter to you what signage we put up on the pedestrian overcrossing?
Well, I'll tell you, the one that I thought was the second one that was shown in the middle.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Ranveer?
I think we need a little more time to go through it and see, maybe we can find a little better design.
Okay.
It's good for the city, you know.
Okay, and like I said, we're not, you know, we're gonna have more stakeholder meetings, and you can see here, we're working on the environmental engineering technical studies. One of those is a landscape architecture, landscaping plan that will include, you know, some of that signage. So we'll have a full report on that. We are gonna have a community meeting in late April. And so that's when we invite everyone. We had 46 people last time. We may get more people this time. Michael Young, who does a lot of the outreach for the city, and AIM, coordinate on that and try and get good attendance, because we want to get the word out. So feel free to let anyone you know that there is a community meeting coming up. And if you need information, just, you know, you send it to me or AIM, and we can get you more information. We will have a public survey. So there is a disadvantaged community just to the west of the interchange, south of Rocklin Road. That's considered a disadvantaged low-income community. In the state and federal, when we talk about funding, the two things that'll get you funding is, one, doing public outreach and having regional collaboration, which I think we're doing. But secondly, is having low-income communities. And this is the only disadvantaged community in all of Rocklin. So we're actually going to survey those folks and go out and do pop-ups. If your business would be willing to be one of those pop-ups, that'd be great. It would make our job a little easier if we could, you know, set something up at your business and do an in-person survey. So let us know if you're interested in that. But we will come back in the summer and have another stakeholder meeting, our third stakeholder meeting, and present all the updates, everything we've learned between now and then. And then we do anticipate a draft environmental document in the fall for public review. And of course, all of you will be on that distribution list and receive the document. And that's all we had today. So we really appreciate your attendance. And Katie, I don't know if there's any other kind of wrap up items.
No, that was wonderful. Again, thank you guys so much. You will all be hearing from us when we move into the community meetings and the survey stages. And we look forward to hearing from you. And again, thank you so much for your participation.